Seth, let's go right to your hometown and the team that you cover and follow the closest. I want to start with: are you in hot water? I mean, because some of what you reported earlier this week has driven a lot of the conversation about Jalen Hurts. Are people upset with you?
You know what, man? Listen, I'm like you, man. The reason why we over here on the internet instead of on national TV is because of how we approach this thing. You know, my mama taught me that the truth is like a lion. You don't need to defend it. You just set it free. It'll defend itself. Okay. So I don't work for Jeffrey Lurie and the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't work for anybody anymore. I work for myself. So I have free speech to be able to, report what I want to report and say it the way that I want to say it without there being any repercussions, other than the sponsors that I have, that support me. And if a sponsor doesn't live by the creed of, the truth is like a lion, then I go and I find sponsors that do, because that's all I can do. If I can't speak the truth, then I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in some hot water from the sense that, you've got, people on the internet that's upset and mad with me because they're like, oh, you're tearing down the team. I'm like, wait a minute. The guy that I work with has been in this industry in the Philadelphia area for over 30 years. Okay. Trusted. Um, he is the one that brought this to life. And when people don't realize that, tell them, in order for you to really get, I said, there's a difference between content and context. And anybody who knows me, they know that I am not someone, who's here for clicks. Okay. If you want the full context, go and watch the whole conversation, which means you would have to go and watch our post game show in order to get it. He brought it up. He said it, Derek Gunn. And what I did was I said, Derek, no. I'm like, not Jalen Hurts. I'm like, because when you look at him, he looks like the perfect quarterback. He says all the right things. He does all the right things. And, he takes accountability. And I said, I'm not believing that. And he looked at me and he looked at everyone that was watching our show and said, trust me. Okay. Now I know he's got connections into that building. Okay. And what he told me when he said that, I said, okay, this is newsworthy. We have to talk about it. The next morning I go on WIP and the question is asked and I answer the question and then people start to lose their mind. So if you're upset, you're upset. You can't get mad at me because the story got out. It's not my job to sit on it. It's newsworthy, so it's worth having a conversation about. Somebody in the Eagles organization wanted this out and they made sure that it got out. It had nothing to do with players. It had nothing to do with Jalen. I love the guy. I think he's a phenomenal athlete, but he's not simply not playing his best football right now, Jason. And am I supposed to, because I used to play for the team and I want the team to be successful the same way you want your Kansas City Chiefs to be successful? Am I supposed to like put the pom poms on and shake them just because I report on them and I play for them? What happened to the truth about what I'm seeing? So at the end of the day, people can be mad, they can be upset. It is what it is. If the Eagles didn't want this out, it would not be out.
Go ahead and put for my audience, restate what is out. What's going on with Jalen Hurts within that building?
We talked about not only the offense, we talked about how Jalen is playing, and obviously, the rift with him and AJ because AJ wants the football. Okay. Um, so Derek said, quote, there are some players in the locker room, as well as some people in the Eagles organization that are not pleased with Jalen Hurts. Now, and this is where I push back. I'm like, you're insane. The dude is the reigning Super Bowl MVP, and he just went to two Super Bowls in the last 3 years and won one and lost one. Okay. You mean to tell me that the organization is upset with him? Why? Because he's not doing the things the way that they want him to do it. He's kind of doing things the way that he wants to do them. And that's when I began to question. I said, I don't believe that. I said, because at the end of the day, this is a coach's son. He was raised in the game. He played for Nick Saban. Are you kidding me? He played for Lincoln Riley. Are you kidding me? You gonna tell me that this kid, he's come in this building, and because now he got the money, he got the franchise tag, and he's got all the notoriety, that any quarterback would want. Now all of a sudden you're gonna tell me that he's flipped the script? And Derek looked at me and shook his head. He said, "Yep." And I was like, I don't believe it, but I got to take him at his word because I trust the dude.
So, I mean, when I hear that, the one thing referencing Nick Saban, referencing Lincoln Riley, but also remember he lost his job at Alabama, handled it remarkably. I can remember, came back in and actually saved Alabama. And I remember saying, like, man, this dude could be president one day. I mean, this is one of the great young leaders we've ever seen. And we're now suggesting that the fame, the success, the accolades, and the money have potentially changed Jalen Hurts.
I said, I am not, I want people to know, Jason, I am not suggesting anything. What I'm saying is that a guy who I work with every game day, who has been known to be an Eagles insider for the last 30 plus years. This is what he brought to our show last week. Okay. And people are pissed off and mad about it. But I would say to you, if you had that information, is it not newsworthy for you as a person in the media? Is it not newsworthy to even have the conversation that potentially this could be why this offense ranks in the bottom third, you know, and yet they're still 8-2, you know? And I think what's really happening is that um, I think this team thrives off of the chaos. I had Howie Long on my podcast on Tuesday, and I told him the same thing. I think this team thrives off of it. You know, it allows them to close ranks. It allows them, to assume the us against the world mentality. You know, it allows them to step back into underdog realm when they won the Super Bowl. Um, and some teams just function better off of dysfunction, if you will. As crazy as that sounds.
What you seem to be suggesting is, if I connect the dots to what you're saying, it's like the Eagles wanted this out here. And so the Eagles perhaps realizing, hey man, we need some internal strife. We need something that perhaps causes Jalen and AJ Brown to, like, hey man, we got to get in the room and figure this out. And what you're suggesting is, like, it's a promotion of we all we got, we all we need. That out of that chaos, there may be a tighter bond. Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't think the Eagles themselves are trying to promote the chaos. Some of the chaos is real. Like when you ask Jalen questions about AJ Brown, he refers you to KP, who is the office coordinator. When you ask AJ Brown about Jalen, he tap dances around it. Something's going on between them. I don't know what it is. Um, I think that so I don't think the organization itself or whoever it is that leaked this is really trying to cause the chaos. They know that the chaos is there. They know that this team, this unit knows how to fight through and assume that we all we got, we all we need. I just believe that You know, I think that they feel like the best way to resolve it, like go back to last year. You remember when this thing with AJ and and Jalen was going on, and Brandon Graham came out, did a, you know, he was doing a radio show on a Monday or Tuesday night, and he said, you know, well, it's obvious that, you know, their friendship ain't as tight as it used to be. It's obvious that something's going on. And he got crushed here in Philadelphia. Like, he came out 2 days later and apologized, and, you know, so what people don't do is people don't look at and remember the little small details, the little breadcrumbs that always lead you back to, you know, to the whole scenario. Um, what Brandon was doing, Brandon saw the collapse. He was here for the collapse in 2023 when they started off 10-1 and then just went in the tank in the second half and got blown out by Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round of the playoffs. And he knew the tension that was there. Him coming out saying that there was something between them, to me, that was the genesis of, we got to figure this out, because we're not going to waste another potential Super Bowl season with this conflict. So what it forced everybody to do, even though Brandon was the one that had to bite the bullet and take the heat, it forced everybody in the organization to pull these two guys together for the greater good. It worked because they went on and won the Super Bowl last year.
If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.